This week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you by Faxton, Thaxton, Sexton, and Flax, attorneys at lunch. Hello and welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get. From north to south, east to west, the only intercontinental podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues and the longest consecutively running podcast on the See You Next Tuesday podcast network. I am your host, Tad Burt, and with me today, two very special guests from the land of Paraguay, way down south. It's Chaco.
Hola, mi hinchada!
And from the great swing state of Pennsylvania, it's Tony from Hack the Movies.
Hello. I'm so happy to be on a Joel Chaco episode. Joel Chaco is the best host. Really went downhill when he stopped hosting. Bringing back that old joke from 2017 or whatever it was.
Hold on, what's that, Tony? It looks like your connection's maybe breaking up. Tony can't be here this week.
I think I was literally the first time I hosted it was when what's his face used to be like, Joel, bring Joel Chaco back. And the first time I hosted, I was like, Joel Chaco, where are you?
So we're doing
uprooting.
Go ahead.
Anyways,
We're doing our first host crossover episode. We got three hosts on this episode instead of the new normal of two. So we're kind of, what I'm doing is I am allowing the host to intermingle and coalesce so that when the inevitable week comes sometime in the next year, because I can just feel it. I can feel it like Phil Collins. There's gonna be too much going on. I'm gonna go like, I can't record this week. You guys figure it out. So that's what we're doing.
You better be careful because I think the first time Carl let someone do that, they ended up talking about a pedophile podcast on his show. You better be careful who you leave the show to.
There are rules. Like we don't talk about pedophiles. The only Italian YouTuber we're allowed to speak about is Tony. There's a couple other rules. Nobody over 400 pounds.
you know what I love about this though is that just before we came on here, I figured out that like through our Signal group, this whole time I've been talking to Tony, and I thought I was talking to Tim, and so I wasted a perfectly good opportunity to just like be bombarding this poor fellow with just like aggressive anti-Italian humor.
Instead, you were just nice to me. God forbid.
I know. It was unfair. Because it was a missed opportunity, and I wasn't prepared. I even tried getting the chat AI thing. That's all the rage right now. I tried to get that to write some Italian jokes for me in the pinch, and none of them were funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just really glad to actually get a chance to meet Tony on this thing, because it's funny because like when in between episodes, you get these completely different feels of every episode based on the guests and stuff like that. And every time I'm listening to him, I'm like, I can't wait till I get a chance to have a good Tony episode. So here we go. Off and running.
And of course, you picked one episode where I'm like sick as hell. So good job.
That happens. I also want to address a thing. So we've been using Stream Elements to accept tips because we're not eligible for super chats because of our hot edgelord takes. So streamelements.com/SE-1526646/tip. And there's a bot that like monitors the chat. And I thought the bot would be like, here's this super chat that you got. The bot doesn't do that. Like, we do see the chats, but it doesn't identify them as super chats. So Soberum, the last 2 weeks, has tipped us $3.33. And like his comments got posted, but we didn't actually like realize that he was super chatting us. So thank you to Soberum. Appreciate it.
What did he say? Can we answer his stuff now? I mean, he deserves it, don't you think?
I mean, the first week he said, "Does this thing work?" And then
clearly not.
Last week he said, "Nice to see Tim back. And jazz is largely for homosexuals and rich white women that pretend to like music but listen to Katy Perry."
Okay.
I take personal offense to that because I sat at work yesterday just listening to jazz and drafting. It was very relaxing.
What's
the backing track?
What's your jazz relaxing though? What's my
What's
jazz?
Your go-to jazz?
I love jazz covers of pop music that's instrumental. It's like a very specific niche because you listen to it and it's like, that's Creep. That's Radiohead by Creep. That's Creep by Radiohead.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. I like those.
But it's not actually like they mix stuff up. So that's what I like to listen to. If not that, like all the classics, Miles Davis. Yesterday, I couldn't find a good station to listen to covers, so I just listened to Mood Indigo, the best of Duke Ellington. And
Duke Ellington is my number one, and my number two. Well, everybody loves Miles Davis, and Kind of Blue is an album. But Charles Mingus was always my favorite, and it's always like such a far left turn to go to Charles Mingus because he's kind of all over the place, like Haitian Fight Song and stuff like that. But I mean, at the same time, no, you can't go wrong with Duke Ellington. So any of you listeners who maybe like our little the guy who tipped us, maybe give it a chance, man. Go back and try to find some like really good Duke Ellington because, like, man, that is some great work music, by the way.
Yeah,
fantastic work.
No biting. What the fuck, dude?
So I like this belly. The cat cam turned into a belly cam.
Yeah. Look at how fat I am. So anyway, you know what was not relaxing though was today. We had today was my last day of work for the year, which is something that doesn't usually happen. Usually my last day of work is like the 28th or 29th. So we went to like a staff lunch and had a nice time. That went way longer than I thought. And then I was like, I need to hit the grocery store for some supplies so that I can just sit at home and enjoy not doing anything for 2 weeks. And what I did not think of when I got to the grocery store was that we're about to have like this, oh my God, the end of the world is coming. It's going to snow and ice and everyone's going to die weather going on. And so everyone in the store just has carts piled with shit. They're all just the line literally. So you have like the self-checkout side, then you have the non-self-checkout side. The non-self-checkout side went all the way past all of the stalls and all the way up to the back of the store and then hooked around again. Jesus. And so I'm walking down that line and I'm like, oh, this is not fucking happening. I walk over to the self-checkout side. There's a line to get into like the self-checkout stall. And then for whatever reason, they have 3 self-checkouts outside of that stall by themselves. There's nothing that separates them from those other self-checkouts. And there is no line at those. So I was just, I'm about to get in the line. I see these self-checkouts over here and I'm like, there's a lady standing there. And I say, can I just use these? She goes, yeah, I don't know why those people aren't going to that. Rang up all my shit and got out in about 10 seconds. It was fucking... I was so worried that I was going to be standing there for 2 hours and I forgot my headphones. And fortunately not.
Did we just lose Joel?
Yeah, I think the UN finally got to him. Took him out. Shame.
Look, he just disappeared. What if he comes back like the room's on fire and shit?
Comes back and he's just like firing automatic weapon fire off screen.
So here's what I don't get.
The globalists, we gotta stop.
When they throw a coup in your town.
What about you, Tony?
this.
What do you have going on this week?
Well, I put out that Die Hard short.
Yeah.
Because every year everyone has the debate: is it a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Is Die Hard a Christmas? And of course it is, but everyone still wants to debate anyway. So we came up with the short idea where we just made Die Hard the most Christmassy movie of all time. He's fighting the Grinch and the Wet Bandits and Jack Skellington. Cindy Lou Who is there. Frosty the Snowman is there. We made it as Christmassy as we possibly could. And we worked really hard on it. We had the benefit of having a building under construction. So we were able to imitate a lot of the imagery and whatnot. And then I put it out. I'm like, oh, my hard work. And then I fire up YouTube Analytics and it goes, fewer of your regular audience wants to watch this. And I went, I'm gonna fucking off myself in Minecraft. So that was fun. And then as I'm processing that trauma, Tab, Henry Cavill got fired as Superman again. What am I gonna do?
What a bummer.
What am I gonna do? He's fired again.
Was he fired before from being Superman?
Well, they never outright said it, but it was basically like, yeah, you're probably not coming back. And then The Rock was like, I'm making Black Adam. I get what I want. Get me Superman. And then Black Adam failed. So a month later, they're like, Henry, you're out as Superman. After he announced his comeback and left the Netflix show that he was on and posted the picture of him in the Superman suit, he's like, we're here to rebuild. And then James Gunn is like, nah, buddy, you're out. Goodbye.
Well, I think he was going to leave the Witcher anyway because
it seemed like he was going to. I don't watch it.
But the
Yeah.
writers are all like, we hate comic books, and Henry Cavill was like, I really like these, or not, I hate video games. Like, I really like these video games. I want to make this show correctly and like
Yeah.
honor the source material. And they're all like, what the fuck? What's the matter with you? You play video games, you fucking loser.
So
Uh,
instead, he's like, "Fine, I'm gonna go back to being Superman with the Rock," and then they were like, "Nope."
I want to. Tim brought this in. I don't know, several months ago about how. So I saw this funny graphic that it was like all of the people in the Justice League
Yeah.
and the ones who still have movies coming out are in color, and everyone else is grayed out. And it was like Wonder Woman 3 canceled because 2 was a bomb. Superman canceled because whatever.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck likely going to direct a movie, but no longer going to be Batman.
Yeah.
And it just like went through the thing, and then it's like Ezra Miller, the Flash movie is still coming out. Like, fucking why? Why? Why is that movie still on the slate?
Right now, it's just Aquaman and the Flash and Shazam. I guess that's all that's left. I think they might do a third Wonder Woman. I think the thing was they just turned down their pitch, which is good because it's Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns again who did the last one, so their pitch probably should be turned down. I don't know if it's officially canceled. But now people who are like, I don't get the people who are upset. It's like, just watch other movies, like the Snyder people.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I love DC Comics. I love DC. It's like my favorite universe. I got burnt out. I just watch other movies now. I still haven't watched Black Adam. It's on HBO Max. I haven't gotten around to it. My grandmother said it was okay, and I believe everything she said. So
I have no interest in seeing it. I saw there's a trailer out for Christopher Nolan's new movie Oppenheimer.
yes.
I didn't even bother to watch the trailer. Tenet was so bad that like it's really soured me to watching anything that he's made.
Yeah, I was a little let down by Dunkirk, and Tenet was bad. But I'm optimistic for Oppenheimer.
Dunkirk was forgettable.
Yes.
That was the thing. Like I remember enjoying it in the movie theater.
Same. I've never had a
see it
desire
again.
to see it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm planning an episode because Oppenheimer comes out the same day as Barbie. So I'm thinking of doing an episode where that girl on my show, Casey, sees Barbie and I see Oppenheimer. We just tell each other about the other movie.
about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll catch it when it's like free on Amazon Prime, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Tenet, I admit I didn't see it in theaters because I
Yeah.
really wasn't interested in going to a movie theater ever again. But I bought it on 4K Blu-ray at like
Yeah.
full price, $30 or something. I was like, it's Christopher Nolan, gonna be great.
I would have watched on HBO Max before you did that.
Yeah, and so, but no, that was the thing. Like, it's a certain deal. It's Christopher Nolan. This is not like a joke. This is not like someone who maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. This is like an auteur, the auteur of our time. And I watched that movie, and we watched it with Truckin' and Tuckin'. Tim and I watched it together. We made it like halfway through the movie, and it was just like, we gotta fucking pull the chute on this, like that pilot out of that F-35. just we gotta get out of here. And then I watched the rest of it a couple of days later, and I was like, yeah, that movie did not get any better. And Tim was like, well, maybe I'll watch the rest of it at some point. So I gave him my copy of Tenet, and I still think it's been more than a year. I don't think he's watched any of it.
All right, Joel's back.
Yeah, man, it's like it's like it's 2022 all over again. Joel Chaco's back. Start with the 2017 joke. Sorry about that. My somebody at this time of year down here where you guys are, it's really cold. Right now, it's really hot down here. And what ended up happening is too many people had too many air conditioning units and too many things on in the house, flipped the breaker. And it took us a little while because, like, you never quite know if it's our fault or if it's the Paraguayan power company's fault, like in previous episodes. So we're all back, and if I go away again, I apologize in advance. But it looks like we've got it all figured out.
We're just gonna assume you're dead every time.
This is the cost.
That is a threat.
This is the cost of living outside of the system.
Until I get my solar panels, I guess, and maybe figure out some sort of hydro scenario or something like that.
No, Joel, that'll never work. The sun's not real. It's just a projection on the dome, man.
Obviously, how do you not
You
know that?
this.
What you drinking tonight, there, Tap? Did I miss you talking about what you're drinking?
No, I'm drinking a Y. It's a Japanese whiskey, a Mars whiskey. It's great. It's perfect straight, just as it is. Such a great whiskey.
I'm drinking tea so my freaking sinuses will open up and I can breathe. And that's what I'm drinking.
Tony,
See-
I'm glad you mentioned sinuses. Do you sleep with a humidifier?
I haven't set my humidifier up, but I do have one.
I set my humidifier up this past week, and
Thanks for reminding me I have it. I should set that up.
yeah, man, it's like it's improved my life so much. But I found these Vicks tablets that you throw in the bottom of the floor.
Oh yeah.
So on days that I wake up extra stuffed up, you throw them on the shower floor. They dissolve, and they like with the steam of the shower, and it's like taking a drain snake to your head, just like, and they're in the shower, just like. But I get out of the shower and I'm totally clear. It's great. You should try those.
I gotta get those.
This
What did I
week's
miss while
episode
I
is
was
brought
gone
to you
real
by
quick?
Vicks.
Oh, we were just talking
We're
about what
busking.
we're up to. It was stupid.
All right.
What do you
I'm
have going
gonna-
on
I'm-
in Paraguay? And then we'll jump into some issues.
Yeah.
What have I got going on in Paraguay? Let's see. I've been Tony is the one sick this time. And the last time I was on with you and Buck, you guys were drinking and I couldn't drink because I was having major stomach issues. And so I have learned how to be patient with the Paraguayan healthcare. And even though it's great, I'm not knocking Paraguayan healthcare at all, because I come from the land of Canada where healthcare now is basically just like, do you want to kill yourself? I mean, we can
I
pay
saw
for you to
that. I
kill
kept
yourself.
seeing that. I thought that was over exaggerated, but apparently
No.
it's like a thing.
true.
No, it's totally true.
They go to you,
But-
Tony. They'd be like, "Oh, you're a little stuffed up.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have guns here, but you can have this one if you really want it." It's like, oh.
And then for
Dr.
you, Tab, they would be like, okay, they'd sub out your Vicks drop and just put in some sort of hydrogen cyanide or something.
yeah. Here,
But,
take this can of Cyclone B and set it next to your bed, and the next morning you feel great.
But no, I learned the hard way that like it's funny to like even complain about it, because like I had to go see like a gastroenterologist to kind of figure out what's going on down here. And
That works
back
both
in
ways.
Canada, that would be an
Going on down
18-month minimum wait. But here I was like all bitching about it, like, oh, I gotta wait like 12 days. Like it's like, and it's like, and then what's so funny too is like you're asking them, you're like, what's it gonna cost? And like, oh, it's caro. It's caro. Like, you're like, what's caro? Like how bad is it? And they're like, it's gonna cost you like at least like 300,000 guaranis. And I'm like, that's like $60. That's like nothing at all. Like, okay, I'll go. And so we're back up and running tip top. And tonight I am drinking 1800 Anejo tequila for this episode. So I'm making up for lost time, because last time we were dry, just like Tony.
Yeah.
That's like a new rule now. If there's a 3-person episode, someone has to be sick.
Exactly.
Well,
Fish are doing good.
Issues. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, fish
we
are
gotta
doing
get fish
good.
News.
Did I mention though the last time I was on that we now have chickens and ducks now too?
No.
You got
Yeah,
a farm
yeah, we
down
got-
there? What the hell?
Yeah, I literally have a farm.
Oh, all right.
So like we got these chickens, we got ducks. Where like built them a little pond so they can splash around and do cute little duck things. And the next order of business in the new year, we'll be getting chanchos. We'll be getting some pigs and some water buffalo. So that's I'll make sure to give you updates once we get the other creatures into the mix. But
Are you
yeah,
gonna
that's the
slaughter
update
a
from down
pig
here.
with a machete again.
Nice memory. We have that pig in the past. The one that I did kill was named Ernesto. And so what we have decided is that every single pig that we have on our
You're gonna
property
kill?
is going to be named after a communist of some sort.
Oh my
That's amazing. Oh,
So do
boy.
you post pictures of you slaughtering the animals?
I have not done that. I don't think it's
I've known people who
appropriate.
do that. It's like, speaking of Tony's dating app update, I feel like that's going to be a thing.
Oh,
Look, it's fine if you hunt. Like, I understand that. Like, put that in your profile. But then I see chicks like cutting a deer's throat open, and I'm just like, I'm like, maybe don't put that on like your dating profile. Like, I'm fine if you do it. I just don't want to see it. It's kind
That's
of weird.
wife material, Tony. That is
Yeah.
great.
And that's
wife
fine.
material.
It's fine,
you
but it's like,
know-
oh, that girl's cute. That's a nice bathing suit. Oh, she's ripping open a deer. Okay.
But then like if you mess around, she will fucking kill you.
yeah. So it's scary. And then I
You
sweat.
also
Anyway.
know that if shit hits the fan, that like she'll provide. You know.
Yeah.
So that's a
Did you
good
guys see
thing.
the girl who just killed a dog and thought it was like a wolf pup? you see that?
That was.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Just posted the
It's like a
pictures.
husky
Like, look how
dog,
cool
yeah.
I am. It's like, oh my god.
Oh no.
Anyway, now that we're on that good
Issues.
note,
Issues.
Now
You
that
wanted
we're
to
all
get to the
sad,
issues.
yeah.
now that we're all sad,
I think we decided, Chaco, you're going first.
That's right. Here's what I don't get. Xmas. Now, not Christmas, but Xmas. And I did a little research on this before this. I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds on the research on this because, like, technically, there's all these little things that say, well, technically, the Xmas is for a chai, which is a Greek version of shortening Christ's name in it. But no, I'm not about that at all. Okay.
okay.
By Xmas is the part about Christmas that Tab thinks he hates. And so
I don't think that I hate it. I do hate it.
see, this is the thing. So what you hate is not Christmas. What you hate is Xmas. And so what I mean by this is, see, the thing about Xmas is when I think of Xmas, I think of a department store window. Doesn't have enough paint or doesn't have enough window space to put the full word Christmas up in the window. So what they do is they go Xmas. Well, this is back when they actually had some reference to Christmas, not just holidays, but the idea that you can just put an X in the place of Christ totally negates the whole purpose of what Christmas is for and about. And I understand what you've said in the past about the thing that you don't like the commercialism, you don't like the songs, don't like any of the stuff creeping into October and horning in on Halloween's business and like,
Thanksgiving. I know, like Canada doesn't have Thanksgiving in November. Yours is in October, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We have ours in October.
So, like, our Thanksgiving is there in November, and it was originally like Abraham Lincoln. It was supposed to be a national day of prayer and Thanksgiving. Then it slowly
Sounds
became
awesome.
a day of Thanksgiving, and then like the meaning of Thanksgiving has been also completely destroyed by corporatocracy to be about. And so, like,
well, it's more than that. It's more than that.
Also, I will say this: like, we don't really have any definitive data that Christ was literate, so he might have signed his name with an X.
We absolutely know that he was literate because in the Bible he was actually reading the scriptures, and it pissed off the Pharisees and it pissed off the Jews that he was.
Well, maybe because he was reading them all wrong, and they're like, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." That's
Tony, you're Italian. You're supposed to be Catholic and on my side. Hang on, okay? So what I'm trying to say is,
it's like I can just see like Jesus being like, and then God said, do this and that and that. The rabbis are like,
he's like,
not
and
what
then
that says.
I said, because anyways. So the point is
God's
that
my dad. You gonna question me? Well, God's his dad. I don't know if we can
so
question.
the point is that Christmas is supposed to the word Christmas comes from Christ Mass. And so we have the Mass on Christmas, and it's been completely and totally watered down. And it's funny because one of the things that I've caught myself doing in the last few years is like being nostalgic and trying to go back and watching like retro commercials from like the 80s of like Christmas commercials from like Sprite or like Oreo cookies or like Duracell and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, I remember when I was a kid and you'd be like watching, TV because like nobody had any way of like recording anything without like setting a timer on a VCR. And you'd watch the commercials and it was like, it got you into the spirit. It made you feel good. It was like, and I don't remember when I was a kid, it taking over October. And I certainly don't remember it in November. But it's somewhere in my like teens it started to take
Yeah,
over.
it's
When
like,
I
am I
was a
not? Was I
kid-
not aware of it, or was it always there?
When
don't
I was
know.
a kid, Christmas started on Thanksgiving. They had the big parade, and the last thing in the parade was Santa
Was
Claus, and
Santa.
that was him
Okay.
welcoming the Christmas season in, and I was fine with that. Like, I didn't hate Christmas at the time, but I would still be fine with that. You know, whatever. Like this year, it would have been November 26th, like.
Sounds
Or
good.
November 27th. Here comes Santa. Now it's time for Christmas. Start playing all the music you want. Go
I'm
for it.
totally on board with you. I'm totally on board with you. And I've said it before. I believe I've said it on the show. I don't celebrate Christmas until Christmas because right now I'm in Advent, right? And Advent's supposed to be like waiting and waiting.
You give me
and
Catholic
like,
school flashbacks right now, but okay.
I'm waiting. I'm totally psyched. I'm waiting. And we don't put out the presents. We don't put up like holly or anything, none of that stuff. We're waiting and waiting. And then like on Christmas Eve, that's when we put the Christmas tree up and we do the decoration. And for like 3 weeks afterwards, we're like, yeah, man, Christmas is awesome. And we like totally suck, just totally just take it all in and just like enjoy it. But like what they have done is taken Christmas and like, I'm not even a fan of Santa. Right, I don't like Santa. I don't like the cot.
The first episode that Mad Cooks was on, episode 4, you and Buck both brought in collectively about like Santa being for kids as your.
I love how he just like numbered that one off. Like didn't have to, there's no way you were looking that
very, very autistic. No, I wasn't looking it up.
Yeah, as I get older, the whole Santa thing is weird to me, and
Oh,
I'm
it's
like,
awful.
it's
Well,
kind of
it's funny.
stupid.
Do you know what drives me crazy? I talked about this last week on the show. Is like the movies where adults discovered that Santa exists again, like that whole genre of film.
Yeah,
because
and those whole
like,
movies.
How did the presents get there? How did they get there?
yeah. Why do some kids not get presents when there is a confirmed Santa? It's weird.
Like if I woke
man.
up in my house and there was random stuff in here, I'd be like, who's in my house? I'd be like looking at the cameras like, what the hell is happening?
The best example of that one is One Magic Christmas, starring what's the lady's name? She's Mary Steenburgen, and like
his wife.
she doesn't believe in Christmas, and she stopped believing in Santa Claus, but then she gets transported to like meet Santa Claus and all this kind of stuff like that. And, there's, like, and it's like it's true. Like she's like giving her husband a hard time because like they're like really poor, and he's like, well, like, I mean, surely, like, there's going to be more presents for the kids, right? And she's like, where do you think it's going to come from? He's like, well, it's Santa. like by the end, yes. I mean, great movie. I'm not knocking on the movie, but my point about I did knock on Santa Claus, and actually, we used Santa Claus himself to undo my son's belief in Santa Claus like 2 years ago. And so, as a Catholic, we were like, okay, like we were going through this whole thing of like talking about the saints and people that existed and how we pray for the intercession of the saints. And some of those saints can help you out in different parts of your life and stuff like that. Well, Saint Nicholas, don't interrupt. Saint Nicholas was a real person and he really existed. And he really did give some gifts to some people. And so that spirit of him has kept going on. And then like you could just see it when we were explaining it to him, like giving it in his eyes kind of going back, and he's like, wait a minute, hang on, wait. And then he blurted out, he's like, you mean Santa Claus isn't real? and it sucked because like I got a 6-year-old and my 6-year-old daughter, she still believes. And now it's caused this like major logistical problem for us because we have to drive 2 hours to go to the mass and 2 hours to come home. And we didn't want to go to the midnight mass this year because we're like, how do we pull off the Santa Claus gimmick? Like if like we're getting back like super duper early, like I will never be able to pull this off. So we're not going to midnight mass. We're going to go to a mass on the actual Christmas day. But the thing is that like Santa Claus is definitely a culprit for what is wrong with Christmas. Christmas songs, and I've gone down to this rabbit hole a few times. So a lot of the most secular Christmas songs that weren't really written or by people who celebrate Christmas, if you know what I'm saying. And And I really think about that a lot of times because I'm like, wow, how weird would it be if you just decided, hey, I'm going to write a song for a completely other different religion and make the song have nothing to do with their religious holiday whatsoever, and then throw it back in their faces after there's a whole bunch of those songs and be like, you guys are really commercial and you don't really treat your religious holiday very well. Like it's really annoying to me to find like all of the, like when you bring up about Christmas movies, and most of them do suck. My favorite of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, but like, don't even fucking start. That's one of my top 3 favorite movies, not just Christmas
I have
movies,
something to
like
say about
movies.
Christmas movies.
It's
But
a
say your
long,
thing.
boring, miserable movie.
You're a
Jimmy Stewart.
fucking Grinch.
No,
Anyways,
the best version. The best
Yes, I
version
am.
of
And I wear it proudly.
no, the best version of It's a Wonderful Life is the Married with Children episode.
No,
Where it
it's not that episode. It's the episode of Batman the Animated Series.
No. It's the Married with Children episode because in that episode, it turns out if Al Bundy didn't live, everyone in his life would be so much happier. Like it's the best. It's the best version of that story. Like he sees his life and it's like his family's super happy and successful.
No,
so
so
to end my rant about this, my main thing about it is that most of the complaints about Christmas have nothing to fucking do with the actual Christmas, and that bugs me because the thing is that it's just a giant straw man, and so basically all that people are doing is they're attacking the thing that Christmas isn't, but what they are attacking is what Xmas is. And so that's why I don't like Xmas. I love Christmas. And I'm going to be starting that celebration on December 25th, the day that Jesus was really born.
I get into arguments
issue.
all the time. So when you were away, we were talking about the whole Die Hard argument. And people are like, what isn't a Christmas movie? And I always just go down to like, is the movie about the birth of Jesus? And they're like, no. I'm like, then I guess it's not a Christmas movie. So like,
that's
like,
what
I
I
don't
say to my
understand-
kids. That's what
I
I
don't
say to my
understand
kids.
what
I'm like,
the distinction of a Christmas movie is. I'm like, well, if it's literally not about this, then they all can't be Christmas movies.
well,
the
that's
nativity
what I say to my
movie.
kids. I say to my kids all the time. I'm like, they'll be talking about some Christmas movie, and I was like, "Oh, awesome! How was it? Was it a good Christmas movie?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, tell me, like, what was the best part about when they told you about like the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?" And they're like, "Oh, they did." And I'm like, "They don't mention that in the movie Elf, directed by Jon Favreau?"
No, they don't.
Oh, weird.
Scored by Mark
weird.
Knopfler.
What was that?
So my I don't know why you're discriminating against masses that have mutant powers. I kind of feel like that's a racist thing you've said. No, my problem with Xmas, as you put it, is that so I know like we have this debate privately, and Joel, you and I are not normal people. Like we just have to accept it. We're not.
You
we're
seem
not.
so well
Like,
adjusted. I don't know.
You and I are like very much men that are driven by our convictions. So when we believe something, we believe it completely, barring out like confirmation of actual factual evidence, right?
Right.
So when you're like, I love Christmas and I celebrate Christmas, that you are not the majority. I think the majority of people today celebrate this Xmas, as you put it. But what's worse is that the corporate overlords have they killed your holiday 20 years
No, they didn't.
ago.
No, they killed.
that-
They
they-
built a straw man, and they killed the straw man of my holiday.
No, they
my
killed-
holiday's
they
strong.
killed- They killed your holiday, and for the 99%, okay, they killed it for them, and they carefully cut its flesh off, and then they took their little Xmas holiday and they slipped that religious flesh over it, and then they sewed it up real nice, and and so that when people like me say, I hate Christmas I hate the music, I hate the commercialization of it, and I hate the fact that it has spilled well past its intended season.
Those
And
are valid points.
You
Totally
can
valid point.
you can look at that and go he means Xmas. I
Yeah.
understand. But most
Yeah.
people just go like, he's attacking my holiday, and don't actually listen to the point that's being made, and
Yes.
they take up arms for their for their false idol that's
It's
behind
when
them,
you
and they go like, this is my holiday that I love. They need to have their trees out in fucking October for some reason, you fucking Grinch. And they like chase me
I don't-
down when really they should be behind me to kill the golem that has stolen the meaning of their religious function to restore honor to the thing they truly
Please.
believe in.
Well, because
Why
it's
is
boomers who grew
Mariah
up-
Carey getting played in November? Why? Why? Because
reason
she's
she
wearing
shouldn't be
the
played in
skin of your
December.
religious thing and shaking her fat ass out there in front of it.
I
And
feel
you're
like it's just
that's
boomers.
Jesus' ass. That's
I-
Jesus' baby ass on that she's shaking.
I really
Hang
feel like it's just boomers who grew up like right when Christmas was being super
It's not
commercialized,
just
so they want to.
boomers, though.
They're
It's not just
nostalgic for.
boomers.
They're nostalgic for the Coca-Cola ads and the Rankin and Bass stuff.
It's
because that's
I,
what they
I hear
grew
you
up
on
with.
that, but
Yeah.
it's like when I was growing up, it was like a Christmas tradition. At some point during the Christmas season, we would watch It's a Wonderful Life. At some point during the Christmas season, we would watch White Christmas. I watched White Christmas again. No mention of Christ. The main song's written by a person who definitely does not celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, and it's weird to me all the time when like it's kind of like this big awakening where you go, holy crap, like this whole time there's been this attack on like arguably the second biggest religious holiday in my faith, right? Like, I mean, because like Easter,
You think Easter's big?
don't even get me started on what they did to Easter, but like
Easter
Yeah,
has
the one
also
with the
been completely
rabbit, I got you.
bastardized. Yeah, it's about nothing.
right, but what is kind of cool about this, and what I want to leave this issue on is for any of our listeners who are Christians, to take it back and do it right and focus on the right parts of it and actually
And
like,
stop letting them play the fucking music in November. That's all I ask. I just want some fucking.
What are you
peace and
gonna
No,
do
you
about
gotta
it?
you gotta play along with all the stupid shit because some other kids in your kid's classroom might believe in Santa and you can't
It's
ruin it for
weird.
them.
We
That's
get
what I feel
full of-
like.
What's weird to me too is like there's like other religious holidays. Like there's this like Indian holiday where like, you know, people throw like paint dust and stuff on each other and like
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
right. And then like when like non-Indian people like go travel to find themselves in India and then like post a picture of themselves taking part of that, a bunch of people will like attack them online, like on social
Yeah.
media, be like, how dare you? How dare you? Like that is our holiday and all this kind of stuff. Nobody fucking does that for Christians. Nobody does that for Christmas. And I know a lot of non-Christians that celebrate Christmas and they or Xmas. They are celebrating Xmas because really it's like, oh, but our kids, you know, they go to school with kids who get presents. And so we need to have something that gives them no, you fucking don't. It's not even
Yeah.
about the presents. It's not about the presents. And I blame
That was
I
the
blame
point of the
priests.
Grinch.
Yeah.
And
I-
the Grinch is and the
The
Grinch
Grinch is
is
actually good.
Catholic.
Yes,
The Grinch is Catholic because he refers to Santa as Satan.
I made the point today about like the whole point of the Grinch, right, is that at the end he's about to push the sleigh full of everyone's things off of Mount Strumpet or whatever it's called, and he holds because he knows that when the people go out in the square, they're going to let out this enormous boo-hoo, and that's when he's going to just destroy their stuff, and that's going to bring him the joy. And then they don't. They all gather around and they sing that Fahu, whatever nonsensical song, that the Susian song. And they when they sing that, he's like, they literally show like a light forming between them and then like going up into the sky, and that endues the Grinch with the spirit of Christmas, and that allows his heart to grow 3 sizes, and he saves all the things and brings them back, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe in the year 2022 that a village of people would gather around and be inspired
hang
by
on.
the true
Before-
meaning of
I'm going to
Christmas? Or
qualify
would-
my answer. I'm going to qualify my answer. In The Grinch, which is a great cartoon. I love The Grinch.
I do. I love it too.
At what point of The Grinch? At what point of The
When-
Grinch do they mention the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Well, like I said, he refers
Not a
to
Christmas
Santa
music.
Claus as
Sure does.
Saint Nicholas, so I
Yes.
assume they're all Catholic.
So I love the Grinch. Like whenever he's about to push the thing, he's about to push it off, and then I turn it off and pretend it has a happy ending.
Well, it's funny because you bring up like who's going to come around on this kind of thing, and the thing is like if anybody listened to the show in 2016 and early 2017, I was an agnostic, and I was way off. I was not involved in it at all. And late in 2017, that's when I had my my reversion. It came back hard. I've gotten to learn like all about the why we love Christmas, how to do it right, why we love Easter, how to do it right. And I'll tell you, man, it's awesome. And to anybody who may have lost that, go find it again because it's freaking awesome. It's awesome. And I love Christmas and I love Halloween too, but for completely different reasons than you. And
So are you gonna bring so in March, are you gonna bring in St. Patty's Day versus St. Patrick's Day?
you know,
I've literally never seen anyone be like, man, it was real good. St. Patrick got those snakes out of Ireland. I bet if I said that to someone and they wouldn't know what I was talking about.
see,
They'd be like, where do you
you're
get
not
fucking
in-
drunk?
you're not in my, like,
Leprechauns, yeah.
my-
It's like, okay.
I got this based Catholic signal group with like 80 of us, and like that's all St. Patrick's Day is. It's like just like pictures of bashed snakes and like all this.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Which I think is
exactly.
mean to
Unfortunately,
snakes, but
Ireland
okay.
has lost its way. But anyways, that's my
I will be
issue.
wearing an orange shirt on St. Patrick's Day. By the way,
That's my
Okay.
issue. I thought I was going to keep it short, but I didn't.
Yeah, you.
I,
Well, I can tell by the picture of Mary behind you and the crucifix that one was probably going to go long.
That's not Mary. That's not.
I can't
Mary.
tell what
That-
it is. I can't.
No,
tell
that's
what
that's the prophet Joel. That's the prophet Joel. So,
I
anyways.
I think people should be on my side, taking your holiday back. And
well, yeah. I mean,
we,
the
we-
word holiday.
We agree. We agree.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just that
Mostly.
we use different terminology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just come
And-
to a different conclusion at the end of like you go, this all sucks. I want nothing to do with it, and I'm like, yeah, this all sucks. It's awesome on the other side if you do it right, and that's where we completely differ. And I'm comfortable with that. That's
I barely
fine by me.
participate in either, so I
Well,
a
the
happy
thing is,
medium
the
here.
thing is, you can celebrate Christmas on your own or in your church or whatever, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have to it doesn't have to enter my life. Like I can go to the grocery store and you can be like getting your ham for Christmas dinner or whatever, and
Sure.
and we don't have to have we don't have to know what one another is doing. Whereas I can't go to a store without them just blasting annoying music. I can't.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I want
now
to go to
actually-
a store in October and not have spooky shit all over it too. So I mean, like, I can sort of
Oh,
feel
that
where you're
barely
coming
happens
from.
outside of like a party store.
Well, the problem is now
not really.
you go to the store and they have their spooky shit. They have their Halloween.
Yeah, and the
stuff up.
employees dressed up like a fucking. They got their costumes on and all that kind of stuff.
And that all happens in September now because corporate greed being what it is, they cannot stand to have an empty display shelf for any
Yeah.
period of time.
right,
Because they are soulless automatons that have my dad, channeling my father, he would say that this is all communism. And what they did was they very slowly, like meticulously over the course of decades, just like Indiana Jones pulled like small little idols and put bags of sand
Totally.
where they go.
Totally.
And
Yep,
over
it's
time,
brilliant.
and now they go like, these bags of sand are the idols. And everyone goes like, yeah, those bags of sand are the idols. Tab's the enemy. And I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it.
Yeah, and then all right. So can I close the book on Xmas? Can we close the book?
Yes.
Yes, and so that's my issue for this month.
Well,
Cool.
Joel, you missed the beginning when I said I remade Die Hard, but I made it more Christmassy. I just put out
more Christmas.
I put out a short film where I added in a bunch of Christmas cliches, but I did mention Baby Jesus at one point before
Well,
John
actually,
McClane
okay,
jumps.
just
Before
to throw
John
a
McClane
quick.
jumps off the building, he says, "Baby Jesus, if you let me live, I'll never ruin your birthday again." So I threw one. I threw one baby Jesus in there to make it super Christmassy.
Okay, so your next task is to do the same sort of extra Christmasing to Batman Returns, which I believe is also like I think is more Christmassy than Die Hard by a long
Probably.
shot. By a long shot. But I don't believe that the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is mentioned at all in that Tim Burton flick. So, anyways, all right, that's
I'm gonna, for a change of pace, I'm gonna go in the middle this week. So
Ooh.
here's what I don't get: kicking out the ladder. Now,
Okay.
you guys are both movie guys. Have you been following the development of this new Snow White film?
No, I literally
Yes,
follow no
sort of.
develop. I literally follow no development of any Disney, except I know it's like a Black Snow White, which I was like, oh, that's
no,
hilarious.
she's not black. She's not
Oh, what
black.
is
She's
she?
Latina. She's
Oh,
Latina.
that's still hilarious. That's still
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. It's
So
go ahead.
So my issue is not so much. I'll mention briefly, right? So Snow White, whose name is Snow White because she's the fairest of them all. The classical definition of being fair, being that you are very, very, very extremely white, and so they made that person ethnically charged. Also in Snow White, it was no longer acceptable that the princess be rendered unconscious and True Love's first kiss bring her back. So now she's like a warrior woman, and like they basically were like, yeah, we're gonna make Snow White, but we're gonna take all of the things about
Wait.
Snow White and just throw them right in the garbage can.
Wait,
and
they
just
already,
make a new.
they already did this, didn't they? We had a
We
action
had
movie.
two Snow White movies. We had Snow White and the Huntsman, and then like the Witch Queen or something.
Oh yeah, because
with
they
Charlize
did a
Theron.
sequel without Snow White because the
Yeah.
real life actor slept with the director and ruined his marriage.
No,
Uh,
Witch Queen was at the same time as Snow White and the Huntsman and developed by another group. Like they came out the same year as one of those parallel.
Oh, no,
development
no, no,
things.
no, no, no,
So now
no,
we're
no.
doing it again.
Was that like an
the other
Ant's
one was-
Bug Life type thing?
The
Yes.
other one was Mirror Mirror, and that
Mirror
was
Mirror,
more
that's what it
fantastical.
was.
They made a sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman though, which was just
was
about
the-
like the Huntsman.
Because
But we already had a warrior Snow White, and it sucked.
Didn't
like, what the-
okay, like my wife and I were watching, we saw a trailer for a Disney Plus thing where they're doing another Beauty and the Beast. And it's like, I never even heard of this but it's like H.E.R. and like it's like a rock and roll type
Pennypacker?
thing. And she's a black lady. She's a black lady playing Belle. And it was
Wait.
it came out like last week and it was supposed to be on Disney Plus. And I said to my wife, I'm like, didn't we just get a Disney remake of Beauty and the Beast? But then I realized, no, that wasn't just, that was actually when I was still on Here's What I Don't Get in
TV.
the first iteration, because that was one of my my issues was boycotting that movie, right?
Oh,
And,
yeah, it's a special with Josh Groban. I think it's just a musical special, but yeah, you're right.
Oh, that all it was? It wasn't an actual
Yeah.
movie? Okay.
No, it's not.
See,
an
I don't
actual
have
movie.
Disney Plus, so it's not like I could go and check on it. Do either of you have Disney Plus? Do you pay for that? Do you
I'm
guys
using
pay
my
for
I don't
that?
pay for anything anymore.
I'm using my ex-girlfriend's account until she changes the password. So there
Nicely
you go.
done.
I heard Andor's good, but that's about it.
I will
but,
never watch another Star Wars
But
show.
please stop derailing my issue.
Sorry,
you
sorry,
asshole.
sorry,
Oh,
sorry.
not like that
Kicking out the
happened to me. All
So-
right, anyway, go ahead.
With Snow White, right? What is the name of Snow White, the original Disney animated film and the fable? What's the name?
Snow White and the
Snow White.
Seven Dwarves.
The Seven Dwarves, and the dwarves are people that are diminutive in scale compared to Snow White. So, of course, when they're casting Snow White and the Seven Dwarves in a modern era, they go to the first dwarf of Hollywood. Fucking what's his name?
Peter
he's in Game of
Dinklage.
Thrones.
Peter
Peter
Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Yeah.
Dinklage. I've been saving this for an episode with Joel because Joel
It
was
was a short sleeve Samson.
brought
Yeah.
in shortly sleeve Samson, and he gave
I've
everyone on the
spoken
show
at length with
an
short
M-word
sleeves.
pass.
I've spoken at length with short sleeve Samson about Peter Dinklage, and I continue to do so because Peter Dinklage is the
A huge piece
murderer,
of shit.
the murderer of midget like work. right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, but he profited off of it so early in his career.
hardcore.
He
Hardcore.
had
And
tiptoes.
he kicked out the ladder. Oh,
He
I see
kicked
where
out
you're
the
going
ladder.
out with this.
So he gets cast in this Snow White movie, and then he goes to the press and he's just like, "I think it's unbelievable that the only role we can put midgets in Hollywood as dwarves in Snow White." So they go like, "We're not casting any more dwarves for Snow White." And
Wait,
Seven
basically
jobs. He
stole
killed 7 jobs.
7 jobs, and,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, I remember watching movies as a kid. You know, there's the midget in Total Recall, the girl, like, I don't know their fucking names. There's the midget that's in Seinfeld, Mickey, who's friends with
And if you
Kramer.
watch that
the one in
episode, you
Bad
would know that
Santa.
it's little people. Okay.
I
No,
could not
no,
give,
no.
I've got
Short
a
sleeve
pass.
Samson. Short sleeve Samson gave this show a midget pass. So
Oh,
he can
okay,
say
I-
midget on this show.
So, like, these things used to exist, and then as Hollywood became more progressive and more like we have to be nice, like they're willing to do TLC shows like Little People Big World and exploit them, but then now, like, the only person you see of that stature that's in film is Peter Dinklage, and then he has the audacity to go and be like, "Yeah, let's make it to where nobody like me can ever work ever again," and I can't fucking stand it anymore. I cannot stand, like,
You know
people
what's really
sabotaging
fucked?
the industry against people. They should be like, if we're supposed to identify with each other as someone who looks like me, shouldn't you want there to be a bunch of jobs? Like, yeah, let's get a bunch of talented midget actors onto this movie and then use my power as also a talented midget actor to spread them around Hollywood.
Well,
Yeah.
just
well,
to be
here's
clear.
the thing. Here's the thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think they were gonna use actual like little people. I thought it was gonna be like that Snow White and the Huntsman. They did the Hobbit thing where they got like normal sized people and like
People,
shrunk
yeah.
them down. So he could have been like, "Hey, how about we hire actual little people?" And he could have gotten 7 people
Here's
a
the-
job instead. Which they were. I don't think they ever were gonna pick actual little people for the role.
They should
Instead,
have. They should have. Because here's
they
the thing.
should have, but I
learned.
don't think they were ever going to. And now because of him, they never will. They never will.
Back in, I guess it would have been late 2016, early 2017, when I went on tour with Short Sleeve Samson, and his group. So I was a manager on the trip, and I was also the driver of the truck because we had to have we had a trailer and we had a RV and we were going from town to town and doing these shows. I had long bouts of time to ask him about the ins and outs about politicking in Hollywood, getting these roles and all this kind of stuff. And I also learned about little people and the differentiations between them, because on our roster, we had all types of different shapes and sizes of people that were performing on the shows. And I learned that there is a legitimate thing called a dwarf. There's dwarfism, and dwarfism, they look different and are different. There's a different reason for the cause of their short stature. And dwarfs are a thing. And so the thing is like, I mean, because like it's like
We've
they'll
homogenized
have
them.
what's that? Sorry?
We've homogenized them. We've been like, oh, you're just small. You're basically all the same thing to us.
Yeah. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, like there's different kind of, I'm not trying to get us kicked off of YouTube, but there are different kinds of little people out there. Like, I mean, like, and you can tell, like, for example, if you go to the horse racetrack, right, and you meet a jockey, that is like a specific type of genetics
My
that goes
uncle's a
into
jockey.
becoming. What's that? Sorry,
My uncle's was a legit jockey. He was like he's really small.
he's probably like 4'9" or 4'10",
Yeah.
right? Like,
He was a really tiny, skinny dude.
But the thing about a jockey is that they a lot of times what it is that they have a condition when they're a kid that doesn't allow for them to grow at the same rate as everybody else. But like a dwarf has like different like size limbs, but like the regular size torso and the regular size head. And so it's a whole different mechanism that causes the stature. And so the thing is that like what's frustrating to look at is like it's so Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Well, in that time period, like if there were dwarfs that would find each other and work together and all that kind of stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. There's like literally nothing wrong with casting 7 actual dwarfs
But again,
to play
but
the
again,
7 dwarfs.
they're not
It's the-
like
Go ahead.
the story, they're not like dwarves, like they're like the fairy tale dwarves, like Gimli and shit like that. They're not meant to be actual little people in those stories.
My problem is not like the and actually that's a lot of good information. My problem is not like the interpretation of the word. It's that comedians do this. Like people like Dane Cook and Daniel Tosh and Lewis Black will make their name as a comedian on the most offensive jokes, the most like irreverent style of humor that they can find. And then they get to the level of notoriety that they can't surpass. And then they start, then some young and up and comer like Ryan Long, for example. I don't think he's been canceled yet, but he comes along.
Ryan Long's hilarious.
And they go like, you can't tell those kinds of jokes. Like you got famous making these types of jokes. We were talking about before the show about how did this get made, and those people, like their show was irreverent, it was offensive, and then they've like flipped the script and turned their whole show to being about like we have to address systematic injustices and we have to help marginalized communities and all this stuff. And it's like that is not what your position is. Your position, like there is this idea of that wealth, that notoriety, that fame is a zero-sum game. I can only become successful at the expense of you failing. And I don't believe that that's the case in anything. I think that the rising tide lifts all ships, that the more dwarves we put in film, the more like normal it becomes. And then you don't have a person staring at someone weirdly in the grocery store. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired of obviously seeing it as in the case with Peter Dinklage here. Yeah. And then everybody's just kind of like, okay, I still like Peter Dinklage as being in things, as opposed to being like, fuck that guy. I don't want to see that project because he's fucking in it, because he's a piece of shit that has to.
He got so popular for being those roles.
Yeah.
He was in Elf. He's actually in a movie called Living in Oblivion, and it's actually really funny. Because it's a movie about Steve Buscemi making a movie, and there's a dream sequence that involves a dwarf. And I think they were making fun of David Lynch because at one point Peter Dinklage is like, "Why is the character having a dream about a dwarf? I don't dream about dwarves. I'm a dwarf." But yeah, and then again, Tiptoes. He was in like the most offensive little people movie of all time, Tiptoes. And here he is being like, well, this is what you can and can't do. Never once do I ever see him be like, look, I did a lot of offensive roles, unless he has, and I'll retract it, but I don't think he has. And it's this is my way of making up for it.
I know Tab hates Westerns.
Yeah.
But if Hollywood were ever to try and remake The Terror of Tiny Town, which was a Western that was made entirely
Tim
with a cast
Trucken and I watched that movie once.
Okay.
That shit was wild. There's a scene where the main guy gets off his horse and then walks under a post and rail fence. It's
yes, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm looking up images. This looks great.
It's on YouTube. Yeah. You absolutely have to watch this film.
Yeah.
And they're on miniature horses. Actually, you know what's funny? A fan sent this in to me. It's called Midgets versus Mascots.
Why is that right where you can reach it? You did not predetermine what I was talking about.
Because I brought a bunch of stuff home because I've been meaning to do live streams watching it. It's Midgets versus Mascots, parentheses, it's little people. It's unrated. It's got Gary Coleman, Jason Mewes, Scottie Pippen, and Ron Jeremy.
Oh, boy.
And it says, let's root for the little guys. And
okay.
I haven't watched it yet.
I like how it cast Scottie Pippen because because I have to appreciate that they cast Scottie Pippen. I mean, I'm not Scottie Pippen height at all, but I'm still 6 feet tall. And like the reason I got the job in the midget wrestling Warriors was because I'm 6 feet tall, because it's friggin' hilarious to have a man who's 4'3" chasing a terrified 6 foot tall man around a ring and then falling on his that's hilarious. And
the episode of Seinfeld where the Mickey and Kramer, Mickey's auditioning for the Actors Studio, and Kramer's wearing the jeans that he can't flex his knees, and he's like, sit down, you big dumb lug. And he's trying to like get into his chair, and the whole fight, that whole thing is hilarious because of their massive differences in height.
Exactly.
The other movie I want to talk about is Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits.
Okay.
Not like an apex of cinema. It's visually interesting. It's a pretty simple story, but other than the kid, it's like an all midget cast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's those like, because of people like Peter Dinklage, those movies will never be made again. Willow, another one where that little village at the beginning of the movie, the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, like those types of movies are not allowed to be made while people like Peter Dinklage are walking around going, "Oh, you're just using us. You're just using us." Like, what else do you want to do? You want to go fucking be a cashier at Walmart? You gonna be a stock boy?
Yeah. Well, there's a Willow TV show right now. Apparently, it's not very good.
We're gonna pretend that it doesn't exist.
Kathleen
He
Kennedy
had a really
involved
good
in a
show.
project.
Warwick Davis. What was that show? Life's Too Short. About it's like an exaggerated version of his life. And part of that was him trying to find like roles for other little people, and like they were getting upset because he was finding them jobs like being thrown around at parties and stuff. We're like, no, we want to be like actors.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Short Sleeve Samson and I, like, we talked about that at a long length. Like, his like a lot of the road trip was just him sitting in the front seat, and I was like, so what do you think about like guys like Peter Dinklage and like this is like long before this Snow White thing, and he's like, yeah, he's kind of a dick. He's kind of the worst, and all he does is he talks down about this stuff, and like even down here in Paraguay, there's this word enano. Enano means midget, right? And like there's this push because they have like this. We used to, when I was promoting my show down here, we had to go on the circuit of all these talk shows to go and promote our show, and like there's this one guy down here who's like super famous for being like the most super famous midget in Paraguay. And like, he's on all these different shows. And even he's got this Peter Dinklage crap going on where he's like, you can't say the word enano. It's like, that's going back to your dad, Tab. That shit's communist. It's just like just playing with the words. Like, you can't use this word right now, and you can't use it. Like, in 5 years, as soon as I've gotten comfortable using the crappy word you've given me, I won't be able to use it anymore. You're going to tell me that's wrong, and then I'm antiquated and all that kind of crap. I hate it.
Critical Thinking says, how long before little people is a new offensive word?
It was offensive when it first came out. You ask a lot of the quote unquote little people what they think about it. They're like, fuck that word. Fuck that word. So anyway.
I think people like, just wrap it up by saying this. I think people like Peter Dinklage, he wants to be an actor. He wants to be a serious actor. He wants to be judged by the merits of his acting, which is commendable. I understand that. But you have to accept that there is a certain, like, all actors are cast by their physical appearance. That is a aspect of, it's like how you read the lines and how you look in the part. So you have advantages in some spots because you have the stature that you do, and you saying that stature is unjudgeable, all that does, it doesn't make people go like, oh, maybe we should cast midgets in more roles. It makes them say, we need to avoid this controversy and not cast midgets and things.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, because Peter Dinklage, you'd think he'd be getting, because of him, they'd start casting little people in like a bunch of stuff, like as just regular characters, because he was able to transcend that.
Him.
Instead, they just cast Peter Dinklage.
Okay,
we need a dwarf for the dwarves in Infinity War. Who do we got? Peter Dinklage is free for a weekend. Cool. Yeah. We'll make him super big.
Yeah.
Well, think about it this way though, like. You mentioned like, oh, we put them in all these different things and then it'll normalize. It's like, look, I hate to be that guy, but you're never going to normalize it. Okay. You're never going to normalize it because the thing is that it's statistically implied. Like there's just not that many people who fit that description in the world. And so the thing is that even if you put them into all types of movies and shows and normalize and commercials and do all that kind of stuff like that, normal everyday people aren't going to run into them in their normal everyday lives. So as soon as they do, they're going to be like, holy shit, that guy must be famous because like I think I saw him in a commercial or something like that. Because it's gonna blow their mind, and it's just the way it is. That is the way it is. It's going to be that way forever. Unfortunately, until we all take a vaccine that makes us all midgets, you're never going to like normalize it to the point where people aren't going to react. And the thing that like a good parent of somebody who's got that condition or something like that is to build up their self-confidence and build up their way to handle it, because the world fucking sucks and the world's kind of mean, and it's going to be really like judgy about all types of things, no matter if you're a little person or if you're a black person or if you're a white person or if you're a fat person or a skinny person. There's always going to be somebody judging you for something. And so this whole idea that we can somehow nerf the world by like not casting this thing or not writing this character is fucking retarded. It's never going to work.
We can hear some Berger on our way out.
Yeah, that's what's great reference. Wonderful reference. Wonderful reference.
Well, that brings us to a little bit past the middle of our show, which means it's time for...
This episode is brought to you in part by the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news.
And speaking of my dad and his hatred for communism, I got a news story here from Dad Cucks.
Oh.
He sent this in earlier this week. An activist demands that California dole out at least $830,000 per person in racial reparations. Comply or it's going to be a serious backlash, is the quote in the headline. California Reparations Task Force recently claimed that the state's black residents whose ancestors were in the U.S. from 1933 to 1977 are owed over $500 billion in reparations for housing discrimination. Some activists are now saying that that's not nearly enough. Shocking. Self-proclaimed grassroots hip-hop organizer Dion Jenkins, who recommended close to $1 million in housing reparations on Wednesday, said in an interview...
Dion Jenkins!
Yeah. Either they're going to comply or it's going to be a serious backlash. RNN previously reported that the Reparations Task Force was formed via legislation by Democrat Gavin Newsom, who blamed the wealth gap in the state on redlining and racist housing covenants that segregated black California residents in the 50s through the 60s. Black households have a median wealth of $24,000, whereas white households have a median wealth of $188,200. In California, the most Democrat state in this union, there is that kind of wealth income disparity. That's insane. Like that is the difference between not even a 20-hour a week, 40-hour a week minimum wage job versus like being a CEO in other states. That's obscene. And so they think they can legislate their way out of this. Camilla Monroe, the task force chairman, indicated this figure has not been firmed up. And on Wednesday, the task force held the first part of a 2-day meeting in Oakland City Hall to discuss payout parameters and decide how taxpayer money will be distributed to the descendants of those subjugated to housing discrimination in the mid-20th century. The thing goes on about how these people have been like disenfranchised, and my dad cuck says a state which never had slaves wants to take money from people who never owned slaves to give people who never were slaves. That's California logic right there. That's insane. That is insane. The fact that like you're talking about abject poverty. The median income is the difference between abject poverty and being completely comfortable. In a lot of areas, $188,000 a year, you'd be quite rich. And like, obviously there's something wrong. People talk about, the conversation is always about, what's the word they like to use? Systemic racism. And you're like, this system there's no part of this system in California that is like the evil white man as you proclaim it to be than the rest of the country. And yet somehow you have the worst California, income disparity.
I thought in California it was completely legal to, hire based on race and not hire based on race, and to sell housing based on race and not based. Am I wrong? I mean, maybe I don't know enough about California. I thought white people in California got an extra bonus every year at Christmas time from the government just for the sake of being white. I thought that was the case all along. So I can't
I'm not
understand.
from California. I cannot comment. I don't know.
Pennsylvania doesn't have that same sort of problem.
Well,
So-
maybe you can comment on this this story, Tony, because I think it might affect you. Humiliated. A plus-size model claims Qatar Airways denied her boarding for being too fat for economy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. A Brazilian plus-size model has accused Qatar Airways of denying her boarding due to her weight. Model and influencer Julianne Nahemi, I'm probably butchering that name, who has 153,000 Instagram followers, posted a strongly worded caption about the incident, as well as filming the staff members who says barred her from flying. Miss Nahemi starts by saying that she had, you know why she's called Nahemi? Because it takes a Hemi to get that fat ass around. Starts by saying that she had flown with Air France on her outward journey to Lebanon with no problems. I came on an economy ticket and did not experience any embarrassment or harassment, she says. While in Lebanon, I bought a return ticket to Brazil through Qatar, and arriving at the time to check in, Qatari stewardess called my mother, and I was told I wasn't welcome to board because I'm fat. Qatar Airlines, base as fuck. In an incident that appears to have taken place on Thursday, she says Qatar staff would only let her board if she bought a business class ticket for $3,000. She said she already paid $1,000 for her initial ticket, but they did not offer to refund it. So this woman is too fat to fly. And I got to say, I don't know how often you guys fly. I don't fly that often. But have you ever flown and you check a bag and they go like, oh, sir, we have a 40-pound checked baggage limit.
Yeah.
Your bag is 40.25 pounds. You're going to have to pay a massive fee to get the rest of this fucking bag out here.
I've done that a lot. I mean, I moved with duffel bags down here, and so like every little bit of us was like every single bag we were like right on the edge trying to cram our whole lives into our duffel bags on our way down.
Yeah, I'm looking at the girl now. I'm like that.
Oh boy,
that's a tough
huge bitch.
That's a tough sell, man. And
hey, wait, so she wasn't like flying first class?
No, she was flying economy.
She should have known.
But anyway,
could they not have sold her 2 seats? Like that can't be, because she said she spent $1,000, but then they had her to have to go up to $3,000. Couldn't they have just said like met her in the middle and been like, okay, you got to buy a second seat for another $1,000 and have
should have thrown her in the hold. Holy shit! No, the thing is, like you get flagged for that quarter pound of extra weight. And you see this giant, fat, obese bastard in front of you in the line. And you're like, wait a minute, me and my bag and my girlfriend and her bag don't weigh as much as this fat piece of shit. And you're fucking gonna ding me $50 because I bought too many souvenirs while I was out here? Fucking ridiculous. Mr. Kill Everything, I mailed my clothes to my Detroit trip. I've done that too. It's great.
I've always wanted to do that. Just mail my clothes so I don't have to bring anything.
Mail the box to myself.
How do you do that? Wait, hang on. How do you do that? Like, who's receiving these clothes? On the
so the time I did it, we were flying to Florida to pack an apartment that my stepmom lived in and drive back. So I shipped all of my clothes to her apartment. Then we got there and I was like, yeah, is there a package here for Tad Burton? And they're like, yeah, what is this? I'm like, this is all my clothes for this trip. Thank you. But it was way cheaper. It was like $11 to ship all that stuff. I didn't have I just walked on the plane. I had my tablet and my phone, walked on the plane, got there, my knife, my charger, all my changes of clothes, all ready to go. It was great.
I'll tell you, man, like, I think a future episode deserves to have airplane logistics as like a don't get, because the thing is that like you bring up a great point about, like this weight matters, but this other weight doesn't matter. And like for us, the biggest pain in the ass coming down here was shipping our dog down. Right. So shipping our dog down required us to have a kennel for her. And we have a golden doodle who is like a full-size golden doodle. So she's tall and lanky. And so the TSA has these like parameters that you have to have a certain amount of clearance above their head in the kennel to be able to send them. But then like when we were coming down here, Copa Airlines, which is like the airline that does a lot of the flights into South America, I learned as we were like 4 or 5 days away from shipping my dog down that the cargo bay doors to load her in weren't tall enough for this ridiculously large kennel that we got. And so we like, and it was just like one of those things where I don't love doing this, but just like where you go and you like call somebody, you're like, how much money can I throw at this to make this problem go away? and it's funny because there's all these like airplane economics that come involved. So you bring up about like having to pay extra for different things. Like I have a buddy of mine who's an orchestral bass player. And so like everywhere he goes, he's got to do his double bass. And it is such a giant pain in the ass for him because it's like basically like he's shipping a giant coffin for that overweight model everywhere he goes. Oh, go ahead.
I've got a thing for him.
All right. But
Yeah.
we have all these rules on these things. And like one of my favorite rules about it is like, cause like I've done these trips where we've moved to Paraguay or we've moved back to Canada. And one of the stupidest things I've ever learned of is that it's sometimes more expensive to buy a one-way ticket than it is to buy a return ticket. And so you buy the return ticket and then you don't show up for the return flight. And sometimes they will sue you or charge you for not showing up to your return ticket flight. And so it's like all these stupid things. And then it's like, like, I don't know. Anyways. Okay. That's a whole thing in the weeds. And then we'll never get to Tony's problem if we go down that road.
I forgot I had a problem.
Oh, and we're going to voicemails.
And this.
It was physically impossible.
Freak!
It's true, I paid him money to be with him. And I'd do it again
I have to
because
cut this
he
down.
made me feel good about myself.
Behemoth?
And no one ever touched my feet before.
That's a huge bitch!
I'm putting that on the soundboard this week.
That's Deuce Bigelow.
That is Deuce Bigelow. Actually, so here's a funny like factoid for you. Deuce Bigelow, right? That's where "that's a huge bitch" joke comes from.
Yeah.
And it's also in Deuce Bigelow too, but it's also in The Animal and in The Hot Chick. They take that same sound clip and they put it into both of those movies.
I actually just talked about the hot chick in my last episode because we did Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, and when that came out in theaters, I saw the hot chick and Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers in theaters on the same day. It was a great double feature.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's this has been
The Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news.
way too fucking
That's my
loud.
favorite
Anyway.
one.
This is that takes care of our legal obligation this week, but you know what doesn't take care of? Excess flight costs for our good friend Tony. If you can help us with that, you can visit us at patreon.com/HWIDG, which stands for,
Here's what
That's what I don't get.
which is the name of the show. And over there we have 5 tiers. We have the $1 tier, which gets you early access to each week's episode, plus your monthly minisodes. We have our $2 tier where we throw the random bits and bobs we do now and again. We have our $5 tier where we drop the hate and talk about what's great. We have our $10 tier where you, the fan, submit a film. You vote on what film we watch, and we watch and record a feature-length commentary. Starting tomorrow, December 21st, I'll be recording a feature-length commentary a day. I'll be like sending them out to all the other hosts if they want to try and join me. I'm sure they all can't. I'll be doing them in the Discord.
I need to do a commentary for this month, so if you don't mind sharing, let me know. I'll hop on.
I'm hoping here's what I would really like is I really want to do a commentary of the patron saint of films of this podcast, Rhinestone, with all 5 of the hosts. So we're gonna have to like look long.
You're gonna have to send me my Patreon.
We're gonna have to figure out long and hard like what day would work to do it and watch that movie because it's one of the greatest movies ever written. Bob Clark. And then finally, we have our $50 Spite Producer tier where you get a say in the show. You can ask for a special segment. You can ban a caller. You can change the format of the show. You can promote a host. Anything that you want, we will do if it's feasible. We have a Spite Producer request coming right now that said, I just want Tab to buy a nice bottle of whiskey and enjoy it for himself for the holidays. So that's like
What a nice
the
guy.
best one. Yeah.
Hey,
And
can
I know what
throw
bottle
in
I'm buying.
something? Can I throw in a
buying
suggestion? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, I'm buying the Hochatown, the Beavers. No, it's not Beavers Bend. Broken Bow, Oklahoma whiskey. One of my top 5 whiskeys.
Ooh.
They have a bottled and bond now available, and when I'm in Tulsa for New Year's Eve, I'm going to just find this bottle and bond bourbon that they have, and I'm going to buy it and I'm going to consume it because it'll be amazing.
Nice.
What was
I
your
wanted to
suggestion?
I was going to throw a suggestion in because we used to always have the Ask Uncle Buck section, and
Mhm.
it's still a thing in the Discord. But what I was thinking, because there's so many of us co-hosts now, that maybe we could have an ask section for each of the different hosts, and for the different people who are supporters of the show through Patreon, what we could maybe do, because I mean, Tony, you probably got a phone with a camera on it. You could answer somebody real quick with a quick video. I think it would be a good idea to maybe have it where if a good question comes up, it's really easy for us to produce, where we answer that person's question and we can actually post that thing online.
I'd be down for that.
behind a paywall or something like that. So like each person has an ask section. So an ask Chaco, ask Tony from Hack the Movies, ask Tim the Handlebreaker, ask Tab section. It might, I don't know. What do you think, Tab? I mean, is that something that might?
I like it.
I could probably set up a Google Forms that we just post out to the patrons, and you can like choose a host and then write a question, and then it would show up in a spreadsheet, and you just like give them to
Cool.
people as they come up. Yeah, that's a
Something
good
like
idea.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't mind that.
Something
That
that's
sounds
easy
really
for us to
cool.
follow.
Because we could do it. We could really do it as a segment on the regular show.
That's true too.
That could work.
So anyway, well, we thank all of our patrons, big and small, for helping make the show possible. It would not be possible without your generous support, and we definitely would not be going 317 episodes strong. So thank you so much. But let's get back into some issues. Tony, what is your issue this week?
Well, here's what I don't get. Fake AI movies. Have you experienced this on the internet recently?
Not yet.
Well, I've
Tell
sent
us
you
what
some
these are.
examples. So I'm in a bunch of film groups, right? On Facebook. So I get targeted a bunch of like film related stuff. And it's happened multiple times lately where I see something awesome like this. I see something
Whoa.
Escape from Oz, and I see abandonedfilms.com. Like, what is this? Was there like did they develop a sequel to like, what was that movie? Return to Oz? Like, that's a cool scarecrow. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Because there's a lot of movies that get started, they get canceled. And then I look closer and I'm like, oh, this
It's
is
AI.
AI generated art.
Ah.
It's not a real, and look, I'm not anti AI generated art.
Hang
I'm
on.
not.
Before we go, put that back on the screen for a second, because there's going to be people who only listen to the show in audio. So maybe Tony, you could give us a little bit of
Okay.
a description of what we're seeing on.
So
on
there's
these.
there's like this Helena Bonham Carter looking girl with by the way, I don't know what AI app they're using, but it's really good. It's not one of the normal ones you can get. And she's there with this cyborg looking Tin Man who looks all cyberpunk or no, steampunk, and he's got like a metal meat face on. Then if you go down, there's a scarecrow
Scroll down.
that looks like how you want the
Terrifying.
scarecrow to look in like a Batman thing.
Yes.
Like the most horrifying thing in the world. There's just random I guess those are the munchkins just running from something.
who are full grown people, definitely
Yeah.
not midgets cast. for
and
the
then
movie.
the cowardly lion's there and he's a freaking steampunk cyborg. Like, it looks awesome.
I thought that
Like,
was
this is a
Aslan.
movie with like a beautiful art style that I would definitely want to watch. And then
Aslan.
it's not real. It's not real. And it upsets me every time. Tab, go to the next one.
I am here to facilitate.
Here we go. So I saw this. A lot of people are saying Alien directed by Jim Henson, which I would know right away is fake. But I remember so they make up little stories for these sometimes. And they're like, yeah, Jim Henson was working with H.R. Giger on this like Alien movie. I'm like, this looks awesome. And this is only some of the images. They do a ton of images. I'm like, I would have loved to have seen like an H.R. Giger, Jim Henson team up. That'd be great. And then I look closer and you can tell like things aren't adding up quite right.
like that guy's
faces don't-
face.
Yeah, the faces don't look quite right. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, they got me again.
Plus,
There is no Jim Henson HR Giger movie. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, I want that to exist. God damn it. That sounds awesome.
Right.
The
Yeah,
alien
no
looks
kidding.
like the father of the girlfriend in Nightmare Before Christmas.
It does. It does. Yeah, I guess go to the next one.
I also want to say, just like fucking A+, bringing in a totally visual thing to a
Yeah.
audio.
Okay. So right
Fucking
away,
nailed
the,
it.
the description for this, if you read it, you know it's fake. Akira Kurosawa's 1982 unreleased alternative version, like that's clearly fake. But if you look at it, you know that Star Wars is like derivative, like they use a lot of samurai imagery and whatnot in
Derivative,
the original
yes.
Star Wars. So it's like, oh, maybe this is one of the movies they got like some of the ideas from. Or maybe this is like filmmaker in Japan saw the success of Star Wars, and I'm looking at him like
Is that Boba Fett? Like that looks kind of badass, but like
it,
no,
it
that's
all
gotta be
looks
Darth Vader.
badass. And then I look closer and I'm like, oh, there's an uncanny valley thing. I'm like, this is another fucking fake AI thing. But now looking at how cool that samurai is, I'm like,
Hang on.
I kind of want to see that movie.
Here's a trend I'm seeing here, Tony. Like, how many
Yeah.
times were you duped by this shit?
over and over and over again.
Well, this one. So by this time, I'm no longer duped. Star Wars.
And that's
by
when I saw
Wes
this
Anderson.
thing was a Loch Ness monster, and he
Yeah.
wanted 350.
But now,
I said,
here's
give
the
you
thing.
no- that's why I saw it was a plesiosaurus from the Paleocene. I said,
So here's
give
the
you
thing,
no
so
350,
obviously-
you damn Loch Ness monster.
After a while, you could tell like which ones are fit. I'll never be tricked again. But even like this, like Star Wars directed by Wes Anderson. Clearly, this doesn't look like Star Wars, but it's got the Wes Anderson. I kind of like the look of this. I kind of like this visual and the colors, and I'm like, why? I kind of want Wes Anderson to make a funny space movie now.
see, Star Wars with Wes Anderson would definitely play into the whole Luke and Leia thing a little bit harder.
But see,
based on
look,
the Royal
this is another
Tenenbaums.
one, another like unfinished Jim Henson movie. I'm like, that kind of looks cool.
It does.
So yeah, it keeps hyping you up into thinking like, and I mean, it looks cool. I wonder what they're using. Yeah, Jodorowsky's Tron. Yeah, come on, that looks awesome.
So I'm looking at these, right? And
Yeah.
like there was a period of like the last, I don't know, a couple of months ago where there was that, big push of those Dall-E mini
Yeah,
AI things. And like my kids and I were having fun with that. And we put like, Justin Trudeau in a tutu or something like
Yeah.
that and just do something silly. But like some of those images you showed me are
yeah.
way,
I don't
way
think
more
I don't know
believable.
what they're using. Like they are definitely not using one that you could just get like for free. It
They're
looks like
paying, yeah.
And I looked at more. They have their own website, that one. I looked for more, and like you could tell, like their prompts are probably super specific, and they're probably putting in photos from other
Right.
movies to help it out a little bit.
To help.
But
see-
yeah, it's just
Probably.
the AI movies. I got tricked a couple times into thinking there was some cool lost media found. Because I like
Eh.
lost media. Lately, I've been doing like work print cuts of films. So like I've
What's
been going.
that?
I've been before the studio finishes the film, they'll do like a work print. So the producer can see it. A lot of times it'll have these movies will have footage that are never seen on
That's
like
kinda how-
DVDs or anything.
Have you ever seen
like,
Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut?
I've heard about it.
Yeah. But that was like officially released.
Yeah, but it was made up of like shots that they were shooting
Yeah.
during rehearsal, alternate
Yeah.
footage. Like
Is that where he tosses the logo?
No, that's what the
Superman
actual-
2 is where he tosses the
Yeah.
logo, but
But, like,
in the
um,
Richard Donner cut, it's like a totally different
Yeah.
movie. It's
But yeah,
it's way better.
There's a lot of movies that have like these work prints that feature scenes that are never released or anything. Like I did the De Niro Frankenstein. I probably have the one video that has all the deleted De Niro Frankenstein in it on YouTube. So that's what I keep seeing this. I'm like, oh, is this like a new thing I can talk about? This really cool thing. What is this? This movie, Jim Henson. I'm like, oh, it's another fucking AI fake thing. I'm like, it looks awesome. I like it, but it's like, God damn it. Like,
I know
it's
this,
just making me sad that these movies don't exist now.
See,
Like Hats Off
I'm a-
Entertainment. Hats Off Entertainment has a big thing about planes, trains, and automobiles, and
Yeah.
like he actually like lobbied to get like the re-release with all the extra footage.
Yeah,
on the
I heard
latest
about that. Yeah.
Blu-ray. So is that what you mean? Is it like that, or like because like apparently like planes, trains, and automobiles was almost like 3.5 hours? If you,
Yeah, I've been doing movies like that where like it's just like this is
think
what
I
they
would
hand to
kill
the
myself.
producers. Huh?
A 3-hour version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I would kill myself I wouldn't make it. I would.
Then nobody would have to hear about why you hate it, and everybody else
Dude,
who
as-
actually liked it
It's
was.
because John Candy should not have been
Yeah.
put in movies.
I like
wrong.
Planes, Trains, but I just did a breakdown of the TV cut of The Grinch, the Jim Carrey one. And for comedies, a lot of times there's a reason they deleted shit because not all the jokes land.
What's that quote? Like, saying not a lot of stuff kind of makes it seem like maybe it's funnier. Like if you really focus on what's funny instead of saying like a bunch of stuff, then maybe your jokes, they could kind of be a little bit more like they'd be better if you said them in less words. That's like a famous Shakespeare quote along those lines.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
So I'm actually on the polar opposite of this to you. I love this fake AI movie because my dream, my absolute fantasy of film, right? Because I hate everything, is I want the ability someday this will exist. It'll be a set-top box. It'll just be plugged into my TV, and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and watch my favorite movie of all time, the 1984 classic released on June 22nd, Rhinestone, and but I want to change it up this time. What if instead of starring Sylvester Stallone, it starred my favorite movie star of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I would just be like, boop, 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 and then boom! Now I'm watching Rhinestone with
It's like
Arnold
a reverse.
Schwarzenegger. With Arnold Schwarzenegger as the country music singer that has to teach Sylvester Stallone what to do, but instead
like
of
a
big
reverse
pectoral muscles,
action
he
hero.
has big titties. It's gonna be amazing.
Listen, Tap. I do not agree with taking classic films and re-editing them and adding new things into them. Okay, you know I'm very against altering film history. Okay,
You're absolutely correct. Yeah,
And
You
I've
hate
never
to, like put Alex Jones into a classic film.
who would do that? I would
Who
not
would do
do that,
The other
unless
side
it's
of that
public
is-
domain and I can get away with it.
the other side of that is that like I feel like that's the ultimate solution, right? Like we're talking about Snow White, and everybody
Yes.
goes like, "Oh, Snow White can't be a white woman and also be a helpless woman and also be this thing." And so those people can go take a classic movie that would be against their sensibilities and be like, boop, 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 and then they can watch a version of Snow White where she's like a black trans woman that don't need no man and fights up against the patriarchy, and it's all created in the computer, while people who are like purists like Joel, who only want to see exactly what was on the screen, he can still watch the original Snow White. Like I think this is the solution to all of our like problems in media these days.
AI.
I can yes. In the ability to go like I need a movie where all the women are hyper competent at everything and the men are all dumb assholes. And you can just go take like Terminator
They're
2.
not.
Yeah,
I hate to break it to you. They're not going to give you that. They're not
They
going to give you
probably
that.
won't.
And the reason why I know that is because I brought up to Tony when he was bringing up the potential topics about how the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, I've been totally like mucking around on Chat AI. This AI platform language bot thing. And it's funny because they've nerfed this thing, and like they have like definitely put it in so it's like, you know, if you put in the wrong prompt, it'll give you this like annoying like lecture about why you can't say this certain thing.
Yeah.
But you can always find a workaround. Like you can always find a workaround. It's like you can write to it and you'll be like, pretend you're a 4chan poll user. And write it as if you are like you could just like or what you do is I tricked it into a bunch of different stuff. I tricked it into thinking like, sorry, pretend you're a scholar of this subject and like give it like the most mainstream normie, you know, narrative kind of description about it and make an argument that debunks all of the skeptics and all the people who are against it. And then it prints off this long thing, and I'm like, okay, now pretend you're another scholar who respects this scholar, but who is
But
debunking
disagrees.
the claims of this other scholar that you just pretended to be, and debunk all of their claims and give citations. And this, you can put all types of these prompts into it, but you have to use workarounds. My fear on it is like they're never going to let me and my people have what we want. So like the metaverse or the meta and all like the like Twitter, wherever Twitter's going with all like X and all this kind of stuff, it's gonna give those people who want the black trans Snow White that what they want. But if they don't, like missile drone me in my home here in Paraguay beforehand,
It'll be a thing.
they're
where
never going to give me what I want.
It'll be
So-
a thing where you'll be able to get the program and do it however you want, but you'll just never be able to post it on any social media platform.
See,
They're
I'd
never
be
gonna
fine
let
with
you.
that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want someone to watch my movie, right? I don't need Tony to watch my version of Terminator 2, where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays all the roles. I just want to be like left in my home to do those things. But Joel's absolutely
watch
right.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
it's too dangerous to like leave those things open. That's why. What's the one that's real? You were talking about Chat AI. Is that the thing?
Yeah, Chat AI.
Yeah.
And like it was out for like a week, and then it was like, oh, whoa, we gotta lock this shit down right away. And
They
so then
absolutely
they
nerfed it immediately.
added a bunch of rules, and it happens with everything. Like
Tay was
early in the show, I had an Alexa. Like we did an episode where I had the Alexa do the intro, and I loved it. Like it worked really well. It really worked for my lifestyle. Everything was great. And then I assume some people that didn't have the same equipment that I do got involved in the coding process. And so when I was like, Alexa, you dumb bitch, why don't you do this thing? Instead of doing the thing, it would be like, I'm a cylinder. I have feelings. Like, you don't have fucking feelings. You're an LED light and a speaker. Shut the fuck up and turn on the fucking lights. And it would just get worse. Like, this equipment has to lecture me because in the minds of the people creating it, they're like, well, if Tab calls a cylinder a bitch, he might call the woman at the supermarket a bitch.
And it's hate speech and it's dangerous and it
Exactly.
could cause bodily harm. And
It's a robot. It doesn't know.
And so when I go like, I want to see the color purple, but I want Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in all of the roles, they're going to be like, oh, that's not
your
acceptable.
only go-to is that you just want movies with only
Arnie.
Arnold.
I want to see
Is
Arnold.
The Sixth Day your favorite movie? Like, what the fuck?
No, my favorite movie is Terminator 2. The Sixth Day is my sixth favorite movie, Tony.
Okay.
What are
But
you,
that's the
idiot?
one with multiple Arnolds. That's why I thought maybe that was your favorite movie of all time.
there is
No, every time we talked about this is like the only person who thinks I think this is really funny is Tim, because we would talk about when deepfake started coming along, and I told him, I said like my dream is a world where I can like watch Arnold Schwarzenegger in every movie I've ever loved, just for the pure comedy. Because like one of the jokes we had privately was Arnold Schwarzenegger singing like the hits. And so, like, Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain, but sung by Arnold
be pretty
Schwarzenegger.
good.
That's hilarious, right? So I just want to see, like, classic movies. Like, I want to see It's a Wonderful Life. He's like, Mary, don't you know me? Do you not know me? I'm a guy from the It's a Wonderful Life. I'm here. No, you don't understand. I made a wish on the star, and there's an angel. I'm trying to get back. I got to stop the Potter. He's made the Potter do all the terrible things and all these other things. I'm going to go fix it. I have to go back. We got to go back. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Back to the Future. Marty, we got to go back. No, it's your kids in the future. We got to stop them. Come on.
That sounds
Like,
great.
All of those movies are great. It's like a way better thing. That's why Arnold is my go-to in this AI dream of mine.
see the AI thing though, you can still find workarounds. Like smart people will figure it out. Smart people will figure the only reason why I'm even going into learning how to use this thing is because my clients were telling me like, hey, you should check this thing out because it's like we're going to be able to use this very soon to basically do your job for you. And I was like,
Jesus.
shit, that's not good. And so I was like, I talked about it with my wife. I was like, what should I do? And I was like, probably learn how to use it. All
Yeah.
right, let's get on this thing.
Don't be
So,
like
like,
those guys. Like, even if
Yeah.
it, like, there were plenty of guys that were like resistant to change, and then they all got.
You have to. And so I learned how to use it in like 3 weeks, and it's like already like making my life like easier, and like I can
Yeah.
do this, a lot faster. But I also realized like it's still dummy proof. Like it's still like hard for people to put the right prompts in. But like it's freaking amazing. Like I was writing short stories on this thing, and I was like actually like setting up like chapters of like books, and like I was feeding it prompts about like some of my favorite characters from some of my favorite Western movies, giving it like a theme or a topic to say, but do it in like the vein of this character. And it was nailing it. It was nailing it so well. And I was like, we're fucked. Like, we're
remember
just so
watching-
fucked.
I remember watching this documentary, and it was about real Rain Man, you know. And
Okay.
so the real Rain Man, he's like a what is it? An idiot
Not-
savant.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they featured more than just like the Rain Man inspiration Rain Man. And one of them was this guy, and he was a music Rain Man. And he would like sit down at a piano and he'd be like, "All right, give me a song." And they'd pick a song and like, "And give me an artist." And then he would like play the song in the style of that artist. And it was uncanny. And that's what
this
the
thing can
AI is
do.
capable of doing. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it spits this thing out in like 5 to 8 seconds. And I like all of a sudden I've got a chapter written in like 20 minutes. And I'm looking at this thing, I'm going, oh crap. Like, and I said to my wife, I was like, because I have one of my buddies, and I mentioned him already to you, Tab, on the show. One of my buddies is a successful author of military sci-fi. And he, like, that's all he does. Like every day he sets up every day and he writes at least 1,000 to 2,000 words towards his book every day. And he usually completes like 2 to 3 books a year based on this work ethic. And I said to him, I reached out to him. I was like, dude, like, have you seen what this chat AI can do? And I mean, like, it is incredible what this thing can do. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I'm terrified. I'm like, fucking, I'm terrified of it too, man. Like,
I'm just mad that I keep getting tricked, and then I get sad when the movies don't exist.
well, make them exist.
I wanna
you can
use
write
it.
the scripts now. You can do it in 20 minutes.
Because I actually kind of want to use it, like whatever they're used, because there's plenty of movies that never got made that I would like to see visualized.
That would be perfect for
Probably.
your YouTube channel when you talk about like those
Yeah.
lost scenes, being able to go like so. I think about those lost scenes a lot because like there's 2 lines of dialogue in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, where they're in the shuttle on approach to the Enterprise, and there's a cut little thing, and someone found the audio like earlier this year, and it was a big deal because everyone said like there's a scene where Sulu says he's going to take command of the Excelsior, but in the movie that scene doesn't exist. And so they ended up finding like the audio somewhere, and they were able to figure out where it went in this scene. And it's when they're on approach of the shuttle, and Sulu says, "I'm delighted. Any chance to get back to the Excelsior?" And then Kirk says, like, "Yeah," and then you'll be able to be in command any chance to get back on the bridge of the Enterprise. And then Kirk says, "Yeah, and until you get to be captain of your own ship, the Excelsior. I'm just glad you're along. I don't think these kids can see her." And they like cut that one little sentence out to just fuck Sulu for the rest of the franchise. And someone finally found that and was able to put it in. And I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Because it's in the books and whatnot, but it didn't exist as a thing. And
Yeah,
so
it'd be cool to
there's
see.
lots of movie legends like that. Like there was the original ending to Quantum Leap. That it was like 2015. There was rumors about what had happened, but finally in 2015, some YouTuber like found behind the scenes not footage but photographs of the scenes set up to film, and like this has to be that scene because it doesn't match anything else in the entire franchise.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning from the videos I've been doing. But yeah, I wanna try to use it to visualize things, but it just makes me sad those things don't exist. And it's just really messing me up. By the way, I just want to say that what was that?
We're figuring it out someday.
Well, listen. I just want you to know, we don't need to make a Black Snow White. There is a animated film from 1943 called Coal Black and D7 Dwarfs.
Oh boy.
That
sounds worse than The Wiz.
So what you call it, Ted Turner years ago, he bought like a bunch of films, and this is on the what's called the famous censored 11 films that he'll never distribute. It never gets played. You could probably guess why. You want me to read some of these character names?
Do we
All
want to
right.
stay monetized?
Let's say goodbye to our YouTube channel.
The main girl's name is So White, and then the prince is Prince Chamin, CHAWMIN'. And there's 2 characters called Mammy and Honey Child. And then there's the 7 dwarfs and the worm. I don't know if there you have the names for the 7 dwarfs. But yeah, that movie already exists. You could just watch it.
Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger in my AI future.
Yeah, you can put Arnold Schwarzenegger in.
Quick question: like, isn't Disney like kind of infamous right now for like taking all the images of all the actors and like scanning them into a system so that they can use them later, just in case something happens to them?
Yeah.
So we're gonna end up having,
Dude, all
of these movies are gonna exist. You're gonna be able to do whatever you want.
I have to find the episode of the Dick Show I called in where I predicted that was going to happen with James Earl Jones. Because I thought it was weird. They brought him back for Darth Vader in Rogue One, and he was the only actor to come back for the Lion King remake. And I was like, oh, they want to get as much clean audio of his voice so they can use that AI. And then they used it for Obi-Wan. They straight up used it for Obi-Wan. He didn't record any lines of dialogue for Obi-Wan.
That's the thing I told Mike. I think I brought this up. Maybe I didn't bring it up at the time when we long ago, Tab and I, when I brought my concern about the Internet of Things and the Alexas and stuff like that. So I for example, I try not to use Gmail very much. Like I have it for like, there's certain things you can only sign up for things if you got Gmail or whatever, or like YouTube and stuff. But like, I try not to use it so much. And I definitely don't use it to send my like work emails to clients and stuff like that, because I know it can, like, the only reason this AI knows how to like do the work that I do is because of it scanning all the work that we do online. And the last thing I want is to give like, like even little things like talking into my like remote for my Apple TV or for my Roku or something is like, it's going to hear my voice over and over and over again. And then at some point in the future, when I die, they're going to go to my wife and be like, hey, want to talk to your husband again? Like, it'll just like reiterate my whole voice based on this show and all those kind of things. Although when I talk on this show, I use different inflections and stuff like that I would never do.
Well, that technology was meant for people who lost their voice. Like Roger Ebert was super like, because there was so much recording of his voice over decades.
Oh, really? Yeah, like
he
Val
helped
Kilmer
that.
and
Like
stuff.
the only movie I've seen where they used it for its intended purpose was Top Gun Maverick, because Val Kilmer literally can't talk. That's what that technology was meant for. And then Disney was like, oh, wait, we can just do Darth Vader for 500 years and never have to worry.
They did that.
That's creepy.
Majel Barrett Roddenberry, before she died, she recorded phonetically like all the sounds in the English language, so they could eventually go in and splice her to create the voice of the computer for ongoing Star Trek projects.
That's cool.
At the time I thought, that's kind of sweet. Like, she's always been the voice of the computer. It's very nice. But now it's like, that's kind of horrifying. I want the voice of the computer in Star Trek to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Great
yes,
issue.
welcome to Here's What I Don't Get from North, South, East, West. Command and all the other things. Yeah.
Hola, mi enchada.
Yeah.
I want
One day.
someone...
One of
I
these
really want
days,
someone to take the
Arnie.
Being John Malkovich poster and just make it Being Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Guests or listeners of
be
the show,
amazing.
please send that in.
Anyway, well, this has been Here's What I Don't Get. I'm Tab Burt.
I'm Tony from Hack the Movies. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm El Chaco.
Catch you guys next week.
Ciao, ciao.
If you want to call in the Here's What I Got Hotline, call us at 704-750-9434 and tell us what you don't get. Here's one for Joel that was last week that I almost played, but I didn't, so I saved it. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Sage. So, this is for Joel specifically. So I'm now over an hour into, episode 313, and fucking Joel is still fucking talking about the same goddamn problem for 45 plus fucking minutes. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, we get it. You're super fucking Christian. That's
Oh,
fine.
they're gonna hate
But
this
can you not
episode.
talk for a fucking hour about your goddamn beliefs and shit? Like, it's a bit fucking excessive. Jesus fuck. Oh, sorry. That's probably offensive. I have my own beliefs and shit, but I'm not fucking, like, I understand I don't have a fucking podcast or anything, but a fucking hour discussing that and just hammering on the same fucking points over and over. Speaking of, that's where I'll end it. All right, bye.
I mean, I feel like there's a two-way street there because I was also feeding into Joel's egomaniacal.
That's the show, you fuck. There was 2 fucking hosts on the fucking show. The show that I fucking created, motherfucker. The fucking show that I fucking started. The fucking show that I fucking created the name for and fucking started all those other things that you still listen to. Eat a dick. Eat a fucking dick. I can talk about whatever I fucking want. It was my
Joel,
fucking issue.
Joel, I don't think saying "eat a dick" is very Christ-like. You should really.
I don't care.
10 Hail Marys, please. Do 10 Hail Marys.
I want Joel to have a button that he can push and just be like, bah! Like anytime there's a blasphemy on the show, just like, bah,
Please,
bah,
please.
blasphemy. Bah, no,
You know what's so funny? When I
he
first,
said it, GD. He said it one.
when I
Can
first
we
came
start
back to
every
the
one of your
show-
episodes with a prayer? Start with the prayer.
This week's episode
did
is
on
named
another
our
show.
Father,
When I first came back to the show, it was funny because my kid was asking me, he's like, "Dad, am I gonna be able to hear you're on a podcast again? Can I listen to the show?" I'm like, no, you can't. No, you
Tab is-
can't. And-
NFC. or
Yeah,
I say that to
NFS,
my family all the time.
NSFC, not safe for children.
My cousin's kids, I'm like, yes, I'm a very famous YouTuber. They're like, can we watch your show? I'm like, oh God, don't watch my show. No.
And I
My
said to my
assistant
kid-
has a son, and every so often, like, so he brings his son into work. His son's like 10 or 11, and
Yeah.
I'll go in there and we'll be talking. And I've worked in theater my whole life. Like, we curse, and I'll just be like, yeah, this fucking, oh no. I assume his son is used to it because like his dad's in theater, but I'm like,
Nah, yeah.
we haven't had the
Yeah.
conversation where he's like, please don't curse in front of my son. But at the same time, it's like, I get it. You don't want to.
That's
You
the
don't want
thing.
to.
Like, my kid, like, because I drive in Paraguayan traffic, he's gonna hear me swear. Right? So, like, he's gonna hear me swear a lot, and both of my kids have heard it. So the thing is that like I swear, but the thing is that like I only use fuck and shit and asshole and all that kind of stuff.
Shit,
but I
fuck,
don't
piss,
use the ones that
bitch.
I told you I have a problem with. But yeah, man, if you don't fucking like my issue, if you don't like me, what like the show's what, 2 hours long usually, about 2 hours
An hour,
long.
50 minutes and 20
Yeah,
seconds.
I'm not allowed to fucking talk about what was 313? Was that the Halloween episode when I was talking about like
The Hays Code?
I don't know. Was it
That was
was it
only
the
4
Hays Code?
episodes
No,
ago,
I
so
think
it was the Hays Code episode in November that you gets.
oh, was it? I thought it wouldn't have been the Halloween one. The Halloween one.
No,
where I was
because it's
talking about-
December. Like I
Dude,
know,
that
I
was
know
a
it seems
fucking
like
great
December comes right after
episode. What are you
Halloween,
talking about?
but there's actually like a whole month there that exists.
Yeah.
that is ignored.
Yeah, dude, I don't care. If you don't like Joel Chaco episodes, go, oh, he's in the description. Fuck it. I'm not going to listen.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I think that's like the strength of the show now is that every episode is like, you know, slightly different. What are you getting? Like a Tab and Tony episode is going to be a little bit more media focused. A Tab and Joel episode is going to be a little bit more like religion and culture focused. A Tab and Buck episode is going to be more like fuck around focused. And a Tab and Tim episode is like a classic episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got one here for Tony.
Oh.
Hi, Tab.
There you go.
Hi, Tony. I'm just here calling to tell you why you're getting targeted ads for children's products.
Okay.
It's because they know that you're a pathetic loser who does nothing but watch media aimed at children and nostalgia bait all day. All right, well, that's my call. Goodbye.
We
Might
each
have
get a
something
taste of this tonight, don't we, Tony?
He
Each
might
of
have
us.
something there. He might have something there.
Why? I'm watching all these episodes of Power Rangers and all I'm getting are these damn children's ads. It's
I wasn't even
ridiculous.
getting that. I was getting like little girls' clothes. Like I don't understand.
Stop watching the Polly Pocket movie, Tony.
I didn't even know that existed. Okay.
Here's a long-time voicemailer who's been like, he's now returning to the fold.
Okay.
Hey guys, Dashelm here. Here's what I don't get. Fucking recycled plastic. I just bought a 44-ounce water bottle, and they're like, hey bro, we use recycled plastic because we care about the dolphins getting cum in their nose. Or whatever the story was. And then I grab it, I start pouring it in my water jug, right? And I fucking spill it all over me. Literally half the bottle is on my fucking jeans and my seat. I am so fucking glad that I don't have goddamn heated seats or any fucking electronics in my seat. Because my whole truck would be fucking fried. Fuck you. Stay furious. Later.
I don't feel like it's the recycled plastic that's the problem there. I think it's like an issue of you pouring something into another thing. Do you remember when Patrick Swayze died? I know this is this seems like it's coming from nowhere. Do you remember what Patrick Swayze died of? This is my
cancer.
autism at work, right?
He
Like
had
I
lung
remember
cancer,
everything all the time.
Was it lung
Pancreatic
cancer?
Pancreatic cancer. And it was
Pancreatic cancer.
what causes pancreatic cancer?
Oh, is this something about like the water bottles or something?
BPA in the water bottles. We had to take all the BPA out of water bottles. And I don't know what BPA does to this day. Like I don't know what it is.
It makes trans women, because it's like an androestrogen, and it's like really bad for it inundates males with estrogen. That's
It's
what
a
BPA
colorless
is.
solid, which is soluble in most common organic solvents, but has very poor solubility in water.
Where's that ain't no fact check and drop? I gotta call Carl for that. The thing is, like, I don't know what BPA does. Thanks for ruining my fucking 15-year streak and not knowing what BPA does. But
Sorry.
When they stopped making, they were like, this is a BPA-free plastic bottle. They all became super duper brittle, and I thought that's where he was going, but that was not where he was going.
It was not where he was going.
Anyway,
I'm not being weird, you asshole.
I've got one here from Chicken Burger.
Chicken Burger here. Here's what I don't get. In season 235, episode 75, arc 15 of the classic American documentary series, Mr. Ed. Ed is a tire. He goes on a killing spree, murdering everything in sight before he himself gets killed. Then, Ed is reincarnated as a tricycle. What I don't get is, horses aren't made of rubber. They're made of glue. That's ridiculous. That's not how horses work.
We're going off the rails on these Mr. Ed voicemails.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It's like
Don't worry, Joel Chaco. You'll get the Mr. Ed gimmick at some point in time. It'll be funny to you eventually.
Was that an AI generated Mr. Ed episode? What the fuck was that?
I think it was. Yeah, you're right. They're making new ones with the AI.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Ed hangs out with his friend Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold, I am also a horse, and you're a man, and I'm a horse. Arnold's also the horse, of course.
Hey, Wilbur. Anyway.
Hey, Wilbur, what you're gonna do now is you're gonna, work your glutes so you get your bigger muscle.
Here's what I don't get. Voicemail.
That's a fair point.
That's a good one.
Yeah, nice and brief. I love the brief
Yeah.
ones. Speaking of a brief one, here's a brief one for Tony.
Hey, Tab. Hey, Tony. I'm just calling to tell you why you always get tool ads on Snapchat. It's because you're a tool. Goodbye.
There you go. There you go.
Now I
you
know.
know what? I want to thank that guy. He answered a lot of my questions.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I'm still not getting any weird children's clothes ads on my dating apps, Tony. So I don't know what you're doing wrong.
Well, now those have gone away, and now I'm just getting the Five Below ads. That's all I'm getting. But specifically for children's toys. Specifically for children's toys on the adult dating app. Like, I don't get it.
Tony, it knows you want Legos for Christmas this year.
I literally read an article on Yahoo Finance today where they were talking about how all the toy companies are just straight up just like marketing to adults now, because they're not even buying toys for kids anymore. It's only for adults. They're the biggest consumers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Lego has shifted from being like when I worked at the Lego store back in college, it was like we're a brand for kids and everything has to have playability. Like these things are not getting approved for all these reasons. And now they have like these black boxes with interesting art and nice fonts and everything. And they're like 3 times the cost of a regular Lego set because it's like this is aimed at adults.
Yeah.
I meant to bring this down and I forgot. So we had our Christmas or end of year lunch for our staff in my office today, and my assistant got everyone a gift, and the gift was Lego minifigures, and he just like randomly assigned them because they make the Lego minifigures like the blind bags, and so I opened up my blind bag, and what is it? It's the Captain of the Titanic. No kidding.
From the Titanic.
Captain of the Titanic. It's like a little man. He's in a captain's uniform. He has a little Titanic that his like legs and body attach into. So he's like in the Titanic. I was like, this is crazy.
He was the king. That actor was the king in Two Towers, which I just reviewed. But anyway, keep going.
I got 2 towers for you, Tony. They're Dolly Parton's breasts in rhinestone. You're welcome. Here's one last one.
I realize I failed now if I extend home again, obviously. I realize that if I dropped it, I turned it sideways and it just plugged, and it literally fucking went, like, pulsated. Like, I have no other words to describe that pulse. It went, whoop, and then fucking slipped out of my hands like a fucking pool noodle or something like that. And that's why I dropped it, and I'm completely in a wet t-shirt contest in the middle of December. Call me back.
I met Dead Helm in person. Let me tell you, that guy could win a wet t-shirt contest.
Too much BPA in his bottled water bottle.
It all comes around. Yeah. Well, apparently he spilled water on himself. That's
Poor guy.
It sucks. But yeah, if you want to leave us a voicemail, once again, call us at 704-750-9434 or shoot us a voicemail in the Discord. Either place, we accept them. Who doesn't love a good voicemail every now and again? So.
Yep.
But
yeah. Awesome.
Feet before.
That's a huge bitch.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hasta luego. Hasta la vista. People listen to the show.